For this study, we're going to look at some ideas that we can apply for improvising, in other words, creating our own solo. We're using the Rockchool song Rolling as our backtrack, just as a demonstration, because everything that you do inside here can obviously be applied to rock, pop, blues, metal, whatever you like. And I'm going to improvise that on the fly, so what I'm going to do now is not prepared. Here we go. And that was really, like I said, improvised off the wing. Now, first step is to know your scale. For this one over here, for this specific piece, we're working with the E minor pentatonic scale, which I'm going to go through for you, or with you rather, just in case you don't know it. It's going to start at fret number 12. This is my 12th fret. And it's going to sound like this. I'm going to call it the fret numbers as I play through it. It's going to go 12, 15 on the top string, 12, 14 on the next string also 12, 14, 12, 14 again, and we finish off with 12, 15 on the bottom too. So what you want to do first of all is practice just going through the scale like this, and of course backwards. What I also hope you notice there, that with my picking hand that's moving now, I'm doing what they call alternative strokes. So when I'm playing a sort of a continuous passage, like that for example, I'm going down, up, down, up, down, up the whole way through. Now the first thing you want to do, just to get to hear how your scale sounds like with your backtrack, and I'm assuming now that you're first time into improvising, so if you already see soloing quite well, then this is maybe not quite the video for you, but there might be an idea or a trick later that I'll share that maybe you might enjoy. But for those that are soloing for the first time, the first thing is to play the scale that I just showed you while the track is running. So something like this. On the beat, and we just do that so that you can get used to playing in rhythm. In other words, in time with the backtrack. You're not picking faster than the backtrack or slower than the backtrack. You're aware of the rhythm of the backtrack. Then you can double up the tempo, and as soon as you double up the speed of the tempo, if your fingers allow, it sounds like this. Automatically sounds a little bit more in the direction of a solo, but you can still hear, yeah, I'm practicing the scale. Now, what you want to do, because I don't want to teach you phrases, I don't want to say that you go learn this, because then you've learned a phrase, which of course you can use, but you haven't really learned how to put your own choice of notes together, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for, how do I create my own? Now, when we think of a solo, we're thinking of short phrases, but maybe I'll repeat it like that, maybe backwards. Pretty easy little ones. I'll do it again slow motion. And the first one I did, pretty basic sort of fills, but that alone, just to start, if I apply that group of 3 notes to the backtrack, it sounds pretty sweet. Check this out. And backwards. And it's a nice way just to get into the first solos. Now, what you want to do is you don't want to tackle the whole scale up front, in the sense of that you want us to go. Because if you can do that, then obviously you can solo already. So we want to go in sort of slowly but surely, step by step. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take just this middle 4 notes, starting on the D string, 4th string, that note, that note, that note, that note, and I'm going to only use those 4 notes, and I'm going to do the whole solo while only using those 4. What I want you to listen for is silent little rest. So little pauses between the phrases. On those 4 notes, a string bend always works nice. I'll show you how to do string bend later. The repetition I spoke about, maybe a trill, all little things you can put into a solo, but look how nice this is actually going to work, just to get you into playing with the scale. The whole thing with improvising is you're going to want to play and experiment to develop what you like. Check out. Pause. There's your bend. Repeat it. Works quite nicely. So just that for starters gives you a very, very nice way just to get into the solo. So it doesn't have to be a whole lot of notes. You can do super slow and do it one more time again. And watch for the bends, listen for the silent gaps in between, listen for repetitions. And here we go. Now what I did there is I tried to develop a little bit of a theme. So I went, and those 3 notes are just 1, 2, 3, and I went 1, 2, 3. So it's very similar, just ends differently. And I played with the timing. So it's little things like that you can do. The more you're aware of it, the easier it becomes. Now, other little things that have worked quite well for it is a little hammer-on and pull-off riff that I like using. It's outside the pentatonic scale, but it just works quite nicely. I'm going to share it with you. Starting at fret number 12 on the 2nd string, you hammer on to 13, hammer on to 14, and just showing my picking hand isn't actually moving. And I only pick the first note. And I finish off on the 14 on the 3rd string. So 2nd string, 12, 13, 15, 13, 12, 14 on the 3rd string. Also works very nicely. So I can start with a string bend now. And I've got a nice little phrase that I can drop in any time I like. So if I put that inside my solo, I've got a bit more. So check this out over here. We're going to go back to the track. Bend. There's a little fall there. And it works again. So there's nice little tricks you can do. Other little ones that work quite nice is you take your pentatonic and you play the last 6 notes, that 12, 14, 12, 15, 12, 15. But every second note is your first note. First note, second note, first note, third note, first note, fourth note, first note, next, and you finish off at the top. Also sounds quite nice. So you get something like this now. Backtrack on, and check this out. Backwards. So all very easy to use sort of concepts, ideas that you can drop inside there. We can use going up in triplets. It's quite a nice exercise as well. And so, for example, I'm starting over here now, still in the E minor pentatonic scale, and instead of going, I go 1, 2, 3. I come back a note, come back a note, come back a note, come back a note. So it's, now I've got the tabs for these exercises as well, so if you want the tabs for them that you can work through in your own time, the PDF for the tabs for these exercises, this one again, backwards. If you want these tabs, just WhatsApp me, email me, I'll send them through for you, no extra cost. Okay, but these also again work nice in the solo. Let me put them in for you. that when I descended, you'll notice I played with the timing a bit. I didn't keep the timing stuck on the metronome. I sort of played around the timing, so I sped up a little bit, slowed down a bit. It's like a push and pull from the rhythm as well. Now, there's no wrong or right over here. I might do a phrase and you might honestly think it sounds bad, and that's fine. That's your right to do so, but nothing will be out of tune. And that's when it comes to style and taste and to preferences. Like, you might be a Red Hot Chili Peppers fan, and I might be a John Mayer fan, and both of us are actually quite right. So whatever you like, as long as you're in tune, that's the important part, okay, not the style. Now, another nice one to do is a little string bend with what they call a double stop, where you do this. Nice little overtone there, I don't know if you heard it. Hear that overtone? Now what we're doing there is I'm going to fret 13, I'm string bending with the third finger, but letting my first and second fingers support it. So you've got something like this. Then my pinky's going to come in on the 15 directly beneath it, like that. But I want both notes ringing at the same time. And there's my overtone. You don't have to put them at the same time, you can do this too. Also sounds quite nice. So these are called double stops, they work really cool. I can do one there from fret 14 on the third string. Also works quite nice. I can play them at the same time like this. And with that one there, I'm playing strings 1 and 2 at the same time. And just gives a very nice effect. Same with this. And then on the double stops, instead of just playing the whole scale thing, I can maybe take those 2 notes, slide it up 2 frets, and back. And I can use those 2 notes. And the essence of it here, end of the day, the amount of mathematical combinations you do are astronomical. So I'm not going to do a 5-day non-stop video with how to build riffs, but I'm hoping to give you ideas that you can grow riffs from, so that you can make them more and more sort of impressive, create your own that maybe I might not have thought of. You'll probably stumble across a few that you recognize from your favorite players. And at the end of the day, if you put these little double stops inside there, you can get something like this. Now the last one's also a favorite. I like this. And I borrowed that from Carlos Santana. It's a very, very nice effect. I've heard it in 1 or 2 other players as well. I'm using the 12 on the first string and the 15 on the second string. Again, middle finger supporting the third finger. And I'm playing both those strings. And you can hear, together it doesn't sound cool. But what we're going to do is we're going to bend the third, keep the first finger static, and we get this. Till it becomes 1 note. And you go up 2 frets. 1 more fret. And with 2 more frets, and you get this. Also sounds pretty sweet. Now obviously we can do hammer-ons, pull-offs, finger taps, a whole lot of other things. Little tricks like that. There's a whole lot of other things we can put into your playing. But when you're beginning to improvise, try and keep it simple. Like I said, first get to know your scale. Make sure you know that. Try little exercises like, try a 4-note version. All these exercises I will send you the PDFs for if you want to copy. Just let me know, I'll be happy to do it. But the whole secret to improvising is do it over and over and test things. It's like if you want to learn a new language, you don't just suddenly speak because you know the words. You have to exercise speaking, and the first few times will be quite clumsy. So it's fine if your first few solos aren't as cool as you like. Everybody's been there. So to say goodbye, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and do a bit of a solo there and try and remember how many little ideas that I demonstrated on the video, and let's see what happens.